few questions that I've prepared for everyone, and then we'll get into some questions from the audience.
Sounds good. Does this mean we get an honorary diploma? All right, everybody sit down, let's do this. Let's talk.
So, my first question is to Jordan. I wanted to ask you sort of about, if you can talk about this theme of us and them that we see sort of percolating through here. Even in my brain, I was thinking about Du Bois's thought about double consciousness and how we wear a veil and that sort of, and I wanted to just get an idea of you, if you could speak about these pairings, about the ways in which the pairings play up in this and what we should glean from that.
This is, by the way, this is like the most intellectual conversation to ever happen at like a J. Cole concert. That's the vibe I'm getting, ladies. So crazy to kind of bring it here.
But we're ready because it's Black excellence in its time.
We're not fishing for that. Look, this movie, it was important for me to say before this movie came out that it is not specifically about race, because I knew after Get Out, people would be looking to dissect the race in this movie and how it's addressed. This movie is about duality and this idea that every time, however we define the word us, for there to be an us, there has to be a them. And I think one of the reasons this movie has has an expanding and expansive element to it, where you can kind of apply it to many different conversations, is because us can be anything. It can be, us can be your family. Us can be your class. Us can be your country. I use a lot of United States imagery in this movie. And I wanted to explore the fact that when you have us, you have a them. And the way we think about them tends to be less than the way we think about us. And this is one of these innately human pieces of duality that I consider a social demon. It's something that if we don't address, it's going to lead us towards committing atrocity together. So that's a starting point for your conversations. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from.
And so when you think about this sort of idea of Jeremiah 11:11, which I believe says something about sort of evil, and that there's evil that's harking within all of us, is that again this idea around sort of the us, that there's the two sides to all of us, if you will?
Yeah, I think my role as an artist is to point out the evil in humanity. Because I believe conversation is the greatest tool we have against our evils and the evils of the world. So when I see a missing piece of the conversation about the evil that is in our DNA, I want to make that point. I want to do it kind of mischievously. I want to do it in a fun way. I want to do it in a way that is, will attract a group of people to come and experience it together, and to make noise together, and to feel that together, because I think it helps arm us with a new vocabulary for the conversation. So that's kind of I reference the Bible and this idea of spirituality in both of these movies because I love to deal with the duality of the science versus religion conundrum, and kind of point out these and invent these abominations that comes when we try to reconcile the two of them together. So, you know, the biblical reference, you know, among many things, is about that, and it is about that this is a story of the rising of a Messiah.
And that Messiah, that's a great segue to let's looking and exploring that Messiah, Lupita. Your roles have been supporting roles, and you've gotten great accolades for that. So it was wondering, what was it like for you to sort of experience a script where you're the central figure, and what preparation?
First of all, I just want to say that this is definitely my first time at Howard, and I'm so happy. And it's also my first time visiting an HBCU, so it's a big honor to be here with this film, with these two, with Jordan Peele. Oh yes, I know that one. So, thank you. So, you know, I feel I'm filled with gratitude for the journey that I've been on in the last 6 years since I started being a professional actor. With 12 Years a Slave and all the accolades that came with the recognition, what it afforded me was the gift of choice. And I could really sit back and think about what I wanted to lend my artistry to. And I always wanted to do stuff that mattered, stuff that challenged me, stuff that made me grow. And so I've chosen carefully, and that's why you've seen me in the movies that I've chosen thus far. Shout out to Black Panther. It's been a long time coming, and I feel like the stars aligned for my first lead role to be with Jordan Peele. Because I watched his film Get Out 5 times in 1 month, and I was just taken by his precision, his vision, his inner compass that helped him tell that story. You know, what I feel is, what he talks about in that film, the fact that he makes racism the monster that it is in a horror film, and makes it a journey that is so exciting to go on, and makes you think. He really trusts his audience to bring their intelligence to the watching of a movie. I felt so respected watching that film, so dignified as an audience member, because he just gave us something expecting the best of us. And so, when he came to me and offered me this part, I said yes for a number of reasons. To work with him, but also because he gave me 2 well-rounded, 3-dimensional women to sink my teeth into. And with this film, again, he's tackling issues that are so intrinsic to the human experience, and he's doing so with swag. And, and both roles were such a departure from anything I'd done to date, and they stretched me as an artist and let me grow. So for all those reasons, I feel like this is how it was meant to be, and I'm very proud.
So to that, sort of what did you have to do to prepare? Because on one hand, there's a maternal role, element to it, but sort of in different ways they're being maternal, if you will. I mean, there's the caring and the loving, but then there's this sort of villain and she's a diabolical nature to it. So how you were able to really kind of tease out that in the same scene, you know, so I guess that's a question for both of you in terms of shooting that and then your preparation for knowing that you were going to have two characters in the same scene.
Yeah, it was madness, I won't lie. I mean, yeah, it was, I was preparing for this in the time it usually takes me to prepare for one role, and here I had these two roles that are so different from each other. And you know, as an actor, you take on a role and you become the advocate for that character. You see things the way they see it. But here I was being asked to do that and also be the judge of both characters. So what I think it ended up doing is, you know, stretching me to my elastic limit. He promised me that I would be tired. He delivered on that promise. I was very exhausted making this film. But it was about finding the precision and physicality and in the emotionality and psychology of these women. So, you know, for Adelaide, she's a ballet dancer, and so I took ballet classes to get remnants of that in my body. And for Red, you know, there was a line in the script that said she hadn't used her voice for a very long time. And for me, that was just, you know, creative fodder. Like, what would that sound like? And so I happened upon a condition known as spasmodic dysphonia, which causes a spasming of the vocal folds. And built off of that, and it's usually caused by trauma, so it just felt really apt to be inspired by that. And then he said she moved like a queen and a cockroach. You know, there was something about that in her physicality. So, you know, just working on that kind of precise, surprising, skittery kind of thing. It was so much fun, you know, to have an opportunity to play such, you know, distinct and wildly imaginative characters.
It was incredible, fantastic. So, and Winston.
I'm sorry.
Winston, I wanted to ask you, so it was wonderful to see a man who has a commanding presence in this, but also in this kind of fun-loving dad role, right? I mean, which for me felt very familiar. It was wonderful, but also sort of surprising. It was a surprise element, something you're used to seeing and knowing in your life, but you rarely see that sort of on screen. So I wanted to ask you sort of, we're often used to seeing, you know, men, African-American men or black men with physical prowess in these different roles, superheroes or villains. But what was it like for you to play, at least as Gabriel, the fun-loving character? What was that experience like?
Well, it was a great question. Thanks for having us. A really strong part of what Jordan Peele does is he loves taking things that we find familiar and turning it on its head. Am I right? From 5 on It and turning that into something just
I would never hear that song in the same way.
creepy, you know, powerful. And what we wanted to do, we had conversations about just changing how we look at masculinity in film. Taking something that feels incredibly familiar, like the sitcom dad, and all these, you know, to some degree, respectability politics dads and performances, and turning it into something that says something. So taking figures that feel like Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince, or taking, you know, even Homer Simpson, or, you know, that Seaver dad from Growing Pains. And, you know, because the thing about Gabe Wilson is he also performs, to some degree, a veneer of whiteness. Right?
Okay.
And, oh, it's starting to be like church up in here.
Praise that.
Well, I will ask you to expound upon that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, he performs, it's a bit of a veneer of whiteness because he's really attached to the construct of the American dream. He really defines himself in his possessions, right? He defines himself in the home, in the car, in the trophy family.
Okay.
He really defines himself in his possessions. And we wanted to take something that felt really familiar so the audience can find it palatable. And then you get home and you go, that actually doesn't feel right in my stomach. Right? That character who doesn't listen, is that really the all-American dad? Right? The father who doesn't listen, the husband who isn't really a partner, is that the all-American dad? You know, and that's the thing about Gabe Wilson, is that we were flipping a lot of things, and we're aware that we were flipping a lot of things. But there's great duality, you know, in Gabe Wilson as well, because even though he is this character who is defined by like patriarchy and is the head of the family and I must be listened to until he isn't listened to. He's also defined in action that isn't your typical male in film. He's not your typical black male in film. He's not your typical male in cinema. He is not stoic and uncommunicative. He is overly communicative. He can be a bit sexy, and he can be... Yes!
Y'all are gonna create a monster.
But he can be funny. And he can be so many things at once, and he can be self-defining to some degree, and he can change.
And so how was it playing a character that sort of complex and familiar, yet unfamiliar for, you know, sort of the history of cinema, and, you know, coming off of the great ride of being in Black Panther? What was it like in terms of your preparation process?
I think the major thing that we end up doing and that keeps them very similar, both Black Panther and now Us and Get Out was similar in the same way, was that it's a conversation. It's a conversation with culture. It's a conversation with ourselves. It's a conversation with our aspirations of who we want to be. So that's the hard thing. That was the thing that we, I think, got into this job and this project to do, you know, have the conversations about who we are, what are our attachments, what are we now responsible for as a result of those attachments, you know?
So it was sort of like an arc, if you will, in terms of your roles and the characters. I have to wrap it up and get to some questions from the audience, but one of the extra characters that I thought seemed to play so prominently was the music in this, you know. So you have, as you said, Vibe on it, a danceable song that now I will never be able to hear the same way. Even, you know, the Black Swan, that scene, Nutcracker, this is a song that we know. But when you have Fuck the Police in there, I kept asking myself when I'm watching it, like, 14 minutes, when are they ever going to come? And then you have this song, and I'm like, okay, there's something here that we are ignoring. So I just wanted to get a sense from you about where the music and the sounds play with
Well, you know, the sound and the music, that's 50% of what we experience when we watch a film. And, you know, I think it's hard to intellectualize each and every choice, because on a certain point, you know, when it works, it works. You know, music tends to be there. Score is there to underline emotion. You know, the same image can mean two different things with two different scores. You know, when I use these pop culture kind of iconic tracks, you know, part of my desire is exploring this idea of duality and bringing a new meaning, you know, showing the underbelly of something that is popular and that has this, you know, a positive connotation to us already. So that, you know, when I do the needle drops, like even the Beach Boys, Good Vibrations, the Minnie Riperton song at the end, The Floor, it's all about taking these anthems of good feeling and ruining them.
Well, you do it masterfully, and I think, you know, just like your tension between humor and horror is just, I think, replete in the technique and the ways in which you do that is brilliant. So without a question, without a doubt, I want to sort of raise offer the questions from this side. We're only going to have time for a few, but we'll try to get through as many as possible.
I'm gonna listen to
This person here.